Hey, man, say, man.
This is Ed and Dez.
This is Dez and Ed, podcast from around the way. We have a special guest today, accomplished in the political spaces. She's been an activist, several things. She knows my fam. She's dope. From all I know, Mrs. Tami Sawyer.
Thanks for having me, y'all.
Yes,
I'm glad
yes.
somebody on the show think I'm dope.
Hey, so
you might be the dopest person we have for the politicians this upcoming year in Memphis.
This is progress.
Yes,
Indeed.
God is good. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
As we told y'all, we do podcast from around the way, so we're gonna have people from around the way here on quite the regular basis, man. It's not just gonna all be sports; it might be a political sports sometimes,
Right.
as we're gonna do today. Covering somebody that we all know, got mad love for him, but young brother been messing up lately in certain ways, image-wise especially, optics. And we invited Mrs. Sawyer here today to talk about that. So we're gonna roll into it. What are your initial thoughts on Mr. Ja Morant?
Well, like I said, thank you both for having me, and I had to rock my Ja ones.
You know.
So y'all, one, know where my loyalties lie, right?
For
Okay,
sure, 100.
so
you are
we in here.
You up in your points.
All
You
right.
up in your points with me. I'm keeping 100 with you. Yeah.
So full 901, I'm ready. I got okay. So that y'all know where my loyalties lie. For me, I am a person who believes like we all make mistakes, right? As somebody who has lived a relatively public life in a very small pond, I know the pressures Ja is under, but I know them not even anywhere to nth degree of the microscope he's under, right? So like for me, when I see Ja mess up, I feel bad for him because so many of us got the fuck up on the low.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The scrutiny.
Yep.
And so a lot of people I'm watching folks who I know been to jail, who I know got 6 baby mamas, who I know got some domestic abuse charges being like, oh man, Ja, what you doing? And I'm like, really, Tyrone, tell me more about how we're judging Ja right now.
Right.
So
you might be wanting right now.
Yeah. Exactly. No, but for real, these are let me pull up the sheriff's website. Like you got active warrants right now.
Josh too. You just had a DUI.
Right.
Josh, what we talking about here? Yeah, you just almost killed somebody.
You might be drinking, driving, and writing on Facebook how you mad at Ja.
Right.
And so for me, I saw it happen the second time, and I was like, I do think he needs to sit down somewhere. I'm 41 now, right? So I'm like, but in hindsight, I need to have a lot of seats at 23 too. Right. And I was able to pivot like very quickly. So I was able to pivot on my opinion of Ja very quickly. So like when I saw the breaking news about the second video come out, I'm like, man, we just got past this. Like,
I couldn't believe it. I was hoping it kind of like one of his people would have got to the person who initially recorded. I think it's like B Rocks or something like that, who's been screwed. He's been stalking Ja forever, the guy who caught him. So man, I'm hoping like somebody throw him 50,000 or something.
He tagged the NBA them.
Right, he went ham.
Yeah.
TMZ, NBA, he tagged everybody.
He wanted them.
Yeah, and it was crazy, right? Because he's been stalking every live, any of Ja's people, he followed them.
Yeah. So
as soon as they go live, he going live watching and he screen record. Just
pray on my downfall, like Minnie Small
that's
said.
Crazy.
I'll tell you, when I ran for mayor in 2019, we did a video. We had just met our fundraising deadline, and we were excited about how much money we had raised, for a small campaign. And my campaign team and I went to Second Line, got gumbo and got drinks. And we went live to thank people, thank you. We met our deadline. We met our goal. I get red in the sun, and I get red after one drink, right?
Drink?
No, I get red.
Oh, you get
I get red in the face.
Oh,
so
wow.
I
you
get
got
flushed.
possibly poison.
No. I just get hot.
Okay,
just
gotcha.
because, I'm a little light in the cheeks. So, my face is flushed. I've had one drink. There's this one guy who could not stand me, and he is on the live. And I'm like, you don't like me like this guy y'all talking about. But he's watching the live and he starts sharing it over and over. Oh, y'all's favorite person is drunk on live. This who y'all want to vote for. She's an alcoholic. Y'all gonna vote for her. She's gonna be a hot mess. Look at her drunk.
Right.
You know, so to your point, should y'all be riding around getting it with his boys, waving his gun? No. Should I have gone on live knowing I was sitting there as a mayoral candidate with a drink in my hand? Probably not. And also, are there people who are willing to exploit any like of your like humanity?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's deep. That's deep. That's a perspective. Because maybe that's why I need to stay out of politics, right? Because I would have leaned in. Yeah, I'm drinking. So what?
Turn up.
You don't see no ties in here, right? I ain't got no keys in my hand, so
right.
You don't know what I got going. Yeah, I'm having a drink. You want one? Come down here and get you one. Yeah,
we got you.
You saying right? So, but yeah, that's a perspective, man. Until you're in that position, you don't really think of it like that. Like, damn, man, it's some people that really you would think like, bro, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? But it's songs just really have it out for you.
If people will watch you at a warehouse job break room, they definitely gonna watch you. If you trying to do, it's always somebody gunning for you. It's just
I had a partner of mine took my little security post. I had the nice, when I was doing security back in the day, I was a teenager, man, and he was cool. And the next day I know he done went to the supervisor and told them, I said, and whoever was still in the rims, I'm gonna let him keep doing it. He done told him this because I had the best shift. Yeah. So he done told him that but yeah.
It's always somebody gunning for you.
Right.
So what do you think might be the issues that are at the root of this? Like what's perpetuating it from the root cause?
For Ja himself.
Yeah, for him himself.
Yo, think about like your worst day. And then put it in public.
Right.
I mean, they went all the way to what, game 7? Did they go to 7?
No.
They lost in 6. But everybody, before they even started, was like, Grizzlies in 6. All the Grizzlies blogs, everybody
except me now. Everybody, it's well documented.
You've been in Houston and Atlanta, so we know we just go.
Yeah. I told these folks, I said, bro, it's the one team we don't want to see. Is the Lakers. I said, I feel confident about Denver, the Warriors, Minnesota, everybody else. But the Lakers, it was the one team I kept telling them. There's a tell you, I used to say it in the spaces. Yeah. Man, the Lakers, bro, is the one team. We play them and you don't run them off the court, you're going to lose. But yeah.
I didn't think Braun was going to let it happen.
Right.
Even if he had a heart attack on the court in game 5 to not lose, he was not gonna lose in Memphis to Memphis in round 1.
All the trash we talk and then we prophesied to Dylan Brooks.
But your team falls apart between what's going on with Dylan Brooks, between what's been going on with Ja. You've got all of the naysayers, people tagging him left and right. I'm sure they've already pulled him off social even before this, which is why it's on his friend's page, not his, because before he was going live from his own page. Right? So, you can't even tag Ja on Instagram. It's blacked out, no tags allowed. So I'm sure they're not even letting him do his own posting or check, but the noise is out there. If he turns on any sports radio, they're already saying is Ja who we need to wrap our team around next year? Who do we need to bring in? Are we trading the whole team? It's JJJ we need to be focused on, right? Ja's a flop at 23.
That's soul crushing.
And then what is this? 2 weeks later? 2 weeks later, he's riding around and getting it with his boy. And I mean, I'm surprised that's all he was doing. Literally, I think about some of my biggest failures and even the most private ones. I came in, I'll just keep using the most public thing I've ever done, run for mayor. I came in 3rd. You know how many people were the day we lost, all on, and I didn't have nobody to watch my social media. Told y'all she won this, told y'all she won that, told y'all she wasn't gonna win. Ha 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 ha, they only got 7% of the vote. Ha 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 ha. But we came in 3rd out of 11. I could have held on to that. But highest vote a woman had ever gotten in mayor's race, couldn't focus on any of that because all the naysayers, as soon as the vote was announced, came out. And how often do we hear the negative? you know, even if his friends and family are wrapping around him like, hey, it happens, you're still young, you got a long career ahead of you. Think about how long it took Michael Jordan to win a championship and all these other things. But nevertheless, the noise is so loud and everyone's saying you're done, you burned out. And so, of course, that's the root cause. Now he's gonna ride around and get it with the homies who ain't doing shit because he feeling like he ain't shit.
Right.
That's a hell of a interesting take. I can see it from that standpoint. For me, I don't really know his reasoning for it. I can't really say that because I've never been a showy person. Out of all my friend groups, I'm the most back. Like I'm an extrovert in a close social setting. But if we out and about, I'm watching P's and Q's. That's just my nature. For him, he's extroverted everywhere, obviously. So if you are a 360-degree extrovert, that might be might be the meltdown.
720 for me.
What you think the root cause is for him?
Yeah, I think the rejection. I think that anger. And then taking that L like that in front of everybody when this supposed to be in a year. Because we good in the West. I'm fine in the West. That too. You know what I'm saying? So all the shit talking and spit swallowing that you done did, paid y'all to be them dudes this year, and it didn't work out like that. Y'all got axed out in the first round. So I think that, and there's a possibility, there's an angle. I think her name is Grizz Ma'am on Twitter. Shout out to Grizz Ma'am. She presented an interesting angle that I hadn't thought about or necessarily heard either. And she mentioned that as far as the defiance to buck the system of what's required of him, and what's the root of that, the root of that could be the rejection, the resentment, the anger. But it seems like there's a defiance, potentially, possibly, there where somebody may possibly just feel like, look, I don't want to be on code. I don't want to, walk a certain way and dress, only wear certain clothes, or only be called listening to certain music, or only be seen doing team functions, that type of image, that pressure. I don't want it like that. And I'm not saying that's the case, because we can't necessarily put a concrete, analysis on it, but just perspectives, it could be that, it could potentially be that too, where somebody's just saying, look, man, I don't want to do it the way I want to do it. I want to write my own story to this, you know what I'm saying? And that's a good one too. I mean, and there's something I wanted to touch on, but I want to let you speak that you mentioned earlier, in terms of people who have, made the mistakes, but they're speaking out on it. And also the fact that the level, what social media is, that his stardom, it's unprecedented. Mm-hmm. Even for LeBron, this is even LeBron can't speak on what Ja is going through right now, because guess what, LeBron? IG wasn't around when you was 23. Right. TikTok wasn't around when you was 23. Twitter wasn't what it is today when you were 23. This is a whole nother world, bro. And there's definitely accountability to be had. So I'm not saying it isn't, but Jordan wasn't perfect. No, Jordan made several mistakes. It was a lot going on back in the 80s and 90s with Jordan now.
Did you see the John Sally interview on Club Shay Shay?
No, I ain't seen it yet.
So Shannon Sharp interviewed, sorry to interrupt, but he interviewed John Sally, and it was hilarious because Sally was wasted off that Kanye. You gotta see the episode.
Shout out to Sally. Hey, bring me up there, man. They got something for you.
But John Sally tells this story about Jordan. He's like, man, Mike used to get so wasted. He's like, he'd be smoking cigars, girls, drunk, and gambling till 3 a.m. He said, and we'll come the next day and put 30 up on us. And like, right. No Instagram, right. No women that are going to get famous in 10 minutes, right? Just to get famous back then, if you slept with Michael Jordan one night, it take a year or something. Proof, pictures, recordings.
A scandal, a whole right.
Took a baby.
Right.
Now all I gotta do is be like,
right. And 5 seconds of it.
Right.
That's
and in 30 seconds,
Wow.
you might be blackout wasted and don't know. I just ruined your whole career. You
By the
come
morning,
home,
she's famous.
and you're divorced.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
And by the morning, she's famous.
And so even with LeBron, I saw, Savannah just was on the cover of the Cut magazine, and everyone was like, she's so classic. She's gorgeous. I love Savannah. But, she's so classic. She's so quiet. Why can't women be like this? Look at how she plays the back role and lets LeBron succeed. Savannah James was with LeBron since she was 16. And she never, she didn't have to be on Instagram.
Right.
She didn't have to raise her family. If Kim Kardashian, and I can't stand the Kardashians, but if she didn't post every day, she's not making money.
Right.
So like this new generation, I mean, I was talking about Halle Bailey earlier, like she's dating a guy who people are like, why are they together? But he's got as much money, maybe more than she does. And he got famous off YouTube.
Sure did.
Right?
For that residual forever money. He ain't
So
got to come out the house.
Right. She got to make movies and sing for the rest of her life. His setup is just like this. And he goes live on Twitch and makes as much money as she does recording one single with her sister.
Wow. Right.
It's a whole new world.
It's the lead.
Right.
A whole pandemic proof. Writer strike proof.
Right.
And when there was a scandal with DDG, it got him more followers.
Because they want to see who you are. What you got to say about this and
right.
that.
You said something else that I wanted to touch on real quick, and y'all cut me off if I'm talking too much. But
You good, do you?
You said what would you say, Grizz mom?
Mm-hmm. Grizz ma'am.
Grizz ma'am said about like this rebellion. We can be so hypocritical, y'all. We raised the Grizzlies to be grit and grind. We were like, nah, like Memphis is different. We don't play your way. We get it out the gutter, we recruit Ja. Ja wants to come here because like this is the energy you get. I went to the Wizards game and I was like, man, this is so lame. I went to the Wizards game in DC. It was quiet. It was a bunch of Memphis people sitting together.
Right.
And we were, the loudest part of the stadium
was
where the Memphis folks were. And I was like, I said, this is nothing like at home. It was so they were like, yay, 3 points, versus like how it is when you go to the Forum. And we've raised this team, not like
good to just quick. I even cut you off. Just quick. I noticed that with college, like a lot of arenas I would go to watch college games. When the home team is on defense, sometimes you might hear a defense, depending on the buzz. Here is every time they're on defense, D up. It's got a high school like atmosphere.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? But it's thousands of people in there.
It's lit in there. And that's the thing. Like, how do you create an image around a team to be rebellious? And then when that trickles into their lives, we're like, wait, hold on, stop. Why is Dylan Brooks talking shit when we don't want him to? Why is Ja running around, when we don't want him to? And it's like, we recruited and hype up them being rebellious. You can't put the cat back in the bag.
But I think it could have been curbed all along. It could have been done right. The reason why I say that is because when you look at the obvious flaws in this team, who on that team can really relate to those type of guys in terms of their background? And I'm talking about from front office down to the last coach on the bench. You really don't have anybody. And then the team, the oldest vet on the team is Steven Adams. He's 29.
Right.
He ain't even 30 yet. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's Steven Adams. With all due respect, it's only so much culturally that they're going to be able to connect and relate to.
It's the Pastner effect. It's why Pastner didn't really work well with the Tigers. Remember when he was like making them run laps for saying the N-word and playing rap music?
Cursing.
And it was like,
they couldn't curse.
He was a choir boy. He was a choir boy.
They couldn't curse at all. They couldn't even curse. Yeah.
He was a choir boy, man. Joe Jackson Orange, man. I get it. Like that's who he was. One thing I see with this team, as I went down the roster like a couple of nights ago, I was like, they all got something in common. None of them had been groomed from a young age to be that guy. Mm. Like Ja popped up that guy. He was not that. They discovered him. Dude was getting some snack cakes out of vending machines.
Right.
Like for real. Like
was he really?
Yeah. Did nobody know who he was? Yeah. He had like one star or something.
The coach was at some type of
open gym.
He wasn't even. It was another gym that Ja was in. He was there for somebody else. He went to. He had to go to the snack machine. Snack machine's on the other side. Just so happened to while going to the snack machine, he saw the other gym, saw him in there. Like,
So this is a guy that comes from obscurity. Okay, Dylan Brooks, 2nd round pick at Oregon. The most anybody heard from him is when Coach K pulled that move on him. He did. Mm-hmm. That still was obscurity. Nobody was checking for him in the draft like that. Right. Nobody was checking for Bane like that.
I was checking for Big Rito.
But you also now co-host a sports podcast. Like, you love sports. Right. I mean, like
the average person.
The average person didn't know these people. But you look at Braun. Y'all mentioned Braun. This guy was groomed from 12. Right. Pippen them was taking him to open runs from a young age. Right. You got people like in the 80s, Magic Johnson had been playing with pros from the time he was a kid. Like, these people had been playing with pros since they were children.
It's no Bronny sitting courtside watching his dad.
Exactly. It's the only.
Your daddy is T. Shout out to T. But
it's no coincidence. It's no coincidence that Jaron. It's no coincidence that Jaron is the one that looks the most groomed, because he is by default. It's from his parents and under that Popovich tree or whatever. Like this.
And that's what impressively in terms of the business side that you see for him today.
And
that's from his mom.
And Steven Adams, he's from New Zealand. He a Kiwi. They calm people anyway. Right. You know what I'm saying? Till it's time to battle, then they show you what's up. But so nobody on this roster has any experience with bright lights.
Coach Fizz would have been the best for this group. If you ask me.
Or Lionel.
Yeah.
I think but I worry about how much Lionel would have probably been too much for them. But I think I would have said Lionel. Mm-hmm. I think I like these too, but I'm just Lionel ain't. Hey, bro, you ain't going not twice.
Yeah,
they ain't happening twice.
So that's the thing too, right? If you're gonna bring together these like black rebellious renegades,
I'm so good. Come on, speak on it. There you go.
And then you give them a Steve Adams. This is why I say
you got Taylor Jenkins.
Yeah, I don't blame Adams at all.
No, I don't blame Adams.
No,
I'm saying
but
as your senior,
right?
You got Steve as your senior. You got Taylor Jenkins as your coach.
Right.
Can you imagine Taylor? Like what Taylor has probably done since Ja came back to now? And I'm not saying he hasn't done anything, but imagine Fizz once Ja steps back on the court and the relationship. Ja's not riding with his homies in off season.
Right.
Ja's somewhere with Fizz.
Facts.
And that's why who invited him to?
Because he used to.
Somebody just invited him to come play for the summer. A senior player.
But I was gonna say this. Even the players here, I remember Fizz used to be at the Redbirds game here with players.
Yeah,
he would have the players with him in the summertime.
And I'm not saying Jenkins isn't. I don't know what Jenkins is doing. But the possibility that they chopping it up once they lost outside of
it's not that I don't like.
He's a fire Taylor Jenkins guy.
Listen, I ain't got nothing against Ted Lasso Jr. I ain't got nothing against Ted Lasso Jr.
Was like, I know what you like. Let's play your music. That's what he is. Not even Ted Lasso.
Okay, well let's say this.
That's kind of Taylor Jenkins. That's kind of Taylor. And if you think about it. That's kind of look.
Taylor Jenkins is a mix between Ted Lasso and a PTA dad. Like that's who he. Like this dude has no edge. When I see him, I'm like, oh my god, it's like Mr. Rogers is on the NBA bench. It's about trust Mr. Rogers and Bob Ross to lead a group of young dudes who listen to NBA YoungBoy before I would trust Taylor Jenkins because he.
But it's just like, why can Coach K do it? What has he learned over the years? Like, right? Like,
he was at West Point.
Right. But and also with the guys he's recruiting, like he's involved in his assistant coaches right there, like building. And I know that's at the college level, but still, I'm just saying
college level player, age players, essentially.
Right.
So that's not too far off base of what you need.
Who is, on the team, like you said, from, all the way, from the front office on down, like who is, pulling him aside and saying, like, who's pulling Dylan aside and saying, like, all right, you came in here the other day, in the dress and the cutoff jeans, and that was cool, and you cussed out LeBron, and that was fun, but let's make some shots tomorrow, cool. Like, not even addressing what's going on. Oh, that's just noise, guys. Let's just focus. All right, we got to win. And then, where are you? And
he wouldn't even tell Jenkins. I mean, Jenkins wouldn't even. My issue, like a lot of people didn't realize, is Dylan Brooks, even though he was crazy inefficient overall because of his outside shooting, because that was all he was mostly taking. He was actually pretty efficient inside the arc. He always has been. So I'm not saying he's just an elite scorer inside the arc, but he's pretty decent to solid inside the arc. He can be efficient. So Jenkins don't even have the withdrawal or the cojones or whatever it is
to make.
Hey man, if you don't bring your ass inside this 3-point line, bro, you finna ride.
He did the exact opposite. The man told them, let the motherfucker fly.
Right, let it fly.
Again, this is why this guy has very little to no self-awareness. And me personally, outside the job situation, since last year, I'm like, he ain't got it. People want to crucify me for it. I don't care what the calculated click say. I don't care what y'all say to me. Dude ain't got it. And this is in no way trying to abscond Ja from being like what he's done. I'm just saying, as far as the rest of the Grizzlies roster in the future, I personally don't feel like that guy can lead a bunch of people that can't even. They're not old enough to rent cars. They're not 25.
And I'll say for me, there you go. And then Ja should not be the only person being held accountable, because Ja ain't the only problem on the scene. Here we are talking about Dillon. Here we are talking about Taylor. Here we are talking about on-court issues or lack of leadership. So it ain't just about off-court troubles or whatever. This is even an on-court issue. Leadership is right. As far as the Grizzlies are concerned, there's a lack of leadership on and off-court. And so my issue with that is Ja. It's not just exclusive to Ja. The accountability needs to be shared, because the front office should have known. Man, I know we want certain guys. Y'all already brought in the Taylor Jenkins like y'all for the head coach. Damn, you could have brought in Sam Cassell. Doc Rivers just got fired. Sam Cassell probably ain't finna get no head coaching job. So, which he should. He's more than deserving at this point. But if Sam Cassell ain't hired on the Grizzly bench, or somebody like of that ilk, that'll show me. I'm telling y'all, bro, that's gonna say everything in terms of how serious that front office is about winning versus winning their way or doing it their way, and more so trying to prove that their way is a winning formula versus, hey, not reinventing the wheel, bro. There's never been a team to do it without that veteran presence and somebody who actually pound the rock before, so these kids, when he speak, they can relate. Rod Strickland out there's plenty of them. So
it's two things that that makes me think of too. Shout out to Candace in the front office. She's VP of Community and Government Relationships. Black woman, dope. So Candace, no shade, love you. We're talking about everybody else. Here's my thing. Where's Ja in the community, right? So one of my friends hits me, huge journalist and reporter, and she's watching this and she's like, what does Ja do in Memphis? Right? And I was like, what y'all saw him doing? what he was doing on live.
Now, I will say this, he's done something that's unprecedented. I've never seen any superstar do it at that level. Him showing up initially, and this is where I hope that the relationship doesn't change with the community. He was the first superstar or any all-star to really, he would be at a Central High School basketball game.
Yeah.
Or he would be at the park just random. Or he would be at Love without you having to pay him and put him on the flyer and all the whole politics to go with that. Now, you're right. So I'm not saying you're not wrong, but I was just adding that into it.
But that goes back to where's he coming from, right? Mm-hmm. So that humility was there, right? And he also had to learn he was a superstar. Mm-hmm. That's also a huge shift, right? Mm-hmm. If he was discovered the story y'all just told me, if he's coming from that, barely, getting picked to being the face of an organization, for us, it might seem okay, now you got it, own it. But there is a psychological and emotional transition that people don't. Again, I'm not famous by any means when it comes to that, but I can't go to a grocery store in most places in Memphis and not somebody speak to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Especially because as much as I spend time on the news and on TV. And so I can remember, this is one of my favorite stories. I know it's probably mostly men listening, but this will help you understand how bad it can be. I was on my period.
There you have
it. Hey, we say everybody say my podcast. Keep it on, man.
Look, I'm in my keep it real era.
So that's cool. You good, brother.
I was on my period. All I wanted was to get in and get out of CVS. I went to get some pads.
Okay.
Y'all got 2 boxes, a box of pads and a box of tampons. I'm trying to get to the front.
Right, in and
Get
out.
out, right?
Yeah, this is in and out transaction. Yeah.
Young white couple is like, I'm sorry. And as soon as I heard that, I was like,
Oh, here we go.
yes. And she's like, are you Tami Sawyer? And I was like, I am. And they held me for another 15 minutes. I'm sorry, cramping, pissed, hungry, tired. I had to smile through the whole thing. I had to talk to them about everything they wanted to talk about. And they just couldn't. I'm like, at least the woman, I've told this story so many times, and women would be like, she didn't see what you had in your hands. I would have been like, hey, sis, bye. All they wanted, they couldn't see anything except they got me in CVS.
Right.
A moment to talk to me about politics, a moment to tell me, whatever they want to tell me.
Right.
And who am I, right, to walk away from that and not try to be humble about it, right? You can't every time. And those are the situations I've had people, I've had people who will go on social media and be like, I met her and she barely smiled. And you don't know what I was going through that day. Going from being just no name, right? Nobody knows me. I stopped at McDonald's the other day. I don't be eating McDonald's no more. But when I pulled up, the lady said, you cut your hair. That's crazy to me, right? In the window.
Right.
Okay. I got some French fries and the tea. And she said, you cut your hair.
Right.
I can't just be, now imagine, right? Ja Morant. And that's over. So that type of notoriety for me, and that's facial recognition.
Right. Off the top.
Over 5, what would you say, 8 years, I've had time to grow in that and made a lot of mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, imagine that happening overnight at the job level. So I tell that story and I talk about people knowing me, but just to like, imagine that, and you're 25, less than 25?
23.
It started for me at 35, 36.
And the interesting, and I always say this too about he ain't even 25. And the reason why that's important is because the brain isn't even
frontal lobe not
right.
Not fully developed.
You can't even. You still on your parents' insurance,
right? So
exactly.
Right. I'm pretty sure he still is. Right.
Or he on his.
Speaking of the youth
factor,
since you lean into the youth factor, right? Let's bring up what effect do you think this has on the youth that's looking at them? Like, because ultimately this is about optics and this is about the product the NBA sells. And many of the examples you hear on the national level are, I can't take my kid to the game, or Michael Wilbon saying, I told my child I can't even buy the shoes.
I was gonna say,
you can count on him to chuck and jive.
That's as much on us as it is on Ja, because it's the conversation we're having around that. So my niece, Mimi, 10 years old, loves some Ja Morant. The reason I got Ja's is because I had to buy her some, right? I mean, her little baby TikTok, what they let her post, it ain't nothing but Ja Morant. Her screensaver on her little iPad, Ja Morant. Okay, Mimi loves Ja Morant. So her birthday was this weekend. I said, I'm bringing you some cupcakes. I said, or you want me to get Ja to drop them off? I'm kidding. I don't know Ja. But she goes, yeah. And then she goes, oh, wait, he can't come. He's in trouble.
Right.
Now, where does she think she heard that from? She hasn't seen the video.
Right.
Right? She didn't know what Ja did. She just knows that everybody's mad at Ja. Right. Turn on the radio, mad at Ja. Turn on TV, mad at Ja. Turn on TikTok. So, like, when we talk about, like, oh, he's, influencing the youth, they ain't gonna see that damn video.
Right.
Most of them, it went viral because of us, the grown people. And so, like, what if we, with the power to change the narrative, we're like, oh, hey, Ja did something dumb, like he's a kid, let's give him a chance. Who's gonna put their arms around them? How are we gonna fix this? But we've already villainized Ja.
Right.
So what's the impression on young kids? Another young black kid is villainized.
Right. And a lot of times by our own. I was saying, JJ Redick today on First Take, was the first one who really pressed that line of like, really, when you get down to the essential points of it, he ain't done anything wrong.
It's Tennessee.
It was like in that same state, you have the senator posing on a Christmas card with his kids, his family, his whole family. They all got guns. Little girl even got a gun. This is the craziest part about it. He's the senator in that same district where the kids
got killed.
Exactly. So you see what I'm saying? Like, so it's like
he's a white senator, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the school that was shot up was a white Christian school. they won't connect the dots on that. They won't say this family posing with AR-15s influenced the Covenant school shooting, but we're gonna say Ja and a gun on a Saturday afternoon on an Instagram live is the reason we got gun violence.
Wow, and that's a point I've not heard anyone connect to, and that's amazing. That's a great point.
You know, for to speak on that, it's always gonna be that unwritten understanding. As Black people, we know it's an unwritten understanding of an invisible code of conduct.
Yeah, it's
like we know it. So if you catch a young Black guy in a mostly corporate setting, he's gonna conduct himself a certain way. We could code speak like people do it, right? For him, I feel like when Ja goes out there and does what he does, you know, bumping young NBA young boy who's probably his age or younger, it's like when Danny Green was here, he spoke on that. He never heard a locker room play stuff like that. And I'm starting to realize why. Yeah. It's because the older people in their organization probably like, I heard some out there stuff in rap, but this is a little different.
I'm pretty sure I say this though. These locker rooms are playing stuff that were way worse. I can almost get.
They probably playing Luke back in the day and everything.
You know what I'm saying?
So you know, but
these probably locker rooms playing Marilyn Manson or something.
My point is,
you know what I'm saying? Folks play Elvis and
with Ja and the youth. For me, I don't think he got an influence on the youth any more than any other cat out here that's getting on a Twitch or YouTube or getting
especially in today's society.
Yeah, it's like it's
too much. It's too many influences.
It's super saturated and it's sensory overload anyway.
Right.
You know, if the guy didn't go live and that was just pre-recorded, it ain't no tell. He might have been able to pull it. You know, so it's no telling what eyes would have caught it. For me, I don't think he got that much of an influence on youth, especially with shoes, because people was out here getting shot over Jordan shoes.
But I ain't gonna lie though, this is still early. I'll say this: his shoes are on pace to have that type of book, or were anyway. Because I mean, the first two sold out. So I mean,
I have 3 pairs. Between me and Mimi, I got 3 pairs of Ja's.
For real, I got 2. Them are the ones that are. Oh, okay, got you.
Which leads me to the next subject that I just thought of from talking to y'all about it. In America, cash is king and conversation rules the nation. This guy generates hundreds of millions. Yeah. So that's another thing that I feel like he's got against him as far as strikes. It's like they're not. He's in no danger of getting out of the NBA. Is what people should understand.
Or Memphis.
It's that this guy has 2 of the top 10 most exciting plays in the NBA this year. Like they put out a list after he got in trouble, and he still had 2 of the top 10.
Number 8 in jersey sales, top 10 in views overall.
Yeah, so
his shoes like
he's so impactful.
And I'll say this: it's another element we've spoken on before. He's the only of the new generation of guys of superstars that are coming up. Luka, Giannis, Tatum, Trey, Ant-Man, all the guys that have signature sneakers. Zion. Ja and LaMelo are the only 2 ones, and I would even say Ja in terms of selling out, because LaMelos are still available on Puma's website. But in terms of the distribution sites or the Nike apps and the retail stores, your Dicks and stuff like that, Ja's the only one selling out of the new generation. You know what I'm saying? So there's a different they haven't found, and I'm gonna be honest with you, if you look at the guys coming up, the pickings are going to be bare in terms of guys that have that level of marketability. So that's huge, because the NBA has always had somebody to transition them into a new era. After Jordan, it was Kobe and LeBron, and you know it was KD and Kyrie to help
Steph and
So now they're the only one is Ja right now.
I think they do to him what they did to Dez in California. I mean, not California, at the Cowboys. So when Dez Bryant was getting in trouble a lot his first season, remember, they just pretty much shut his life down. Dez had a babysitter like, 3-4 seasons. And when the Black Lives Matter movement came out, I remember Dez was like, Black people gotta worry about black on black crime. But, you know, he's changed his stance. But originally, Dez was coming from a place of like, I was a Black kid getting in trouble, no dad, beefing with my mom. And, you know, these wealthy white folks were the ones who taught me how to save my money, taught me how to stay in trouble, taught me how to file taxes. So he's seeing the world from a different place, right? Then they reminded him he was Black and came on back to us. But, you know, I don't know if they give him a babysitter, but I bet you Pac-Man, remember Pac-Man had a handler when he was in Titans.
Tennessee, yeah.
And the reason he didn't stay was he kept ditching his handler. Like he would be in the club and ditch his security to go to the next club. So that's how Pac-Man Jones. Like
Pac-Man, Pac-Man.
So Pac-Man didn't stay. The Titans were like, we tried. Like your last chance with these orgs is honestly like, I can promise you, Ja is on curfew right now.
Facts.
I can promise you, he ain't got no bracelet on his ankle.
But he does. It's invisible, but it's there.
An invisible leash.
Like
I even said I said this on Twitter earlier. He won't even have say so on the music they play in practice no more. You can't even tell them what to play.
They were like your friends. You know, he got into that situation over by the pyramid, driving with his friends, and they said that they showed the gun to the Pacers when it.
Right, the laser, the infrared beam.
They tried to say
swore it was a gun.
He ain't riding home with the homies no more. They got an approved list. He got a driver. I can promise you, that boy is grounded.
Facts, and it like with young boy. I mean, he's not a it's different because it's a criminal case involved, but it's still the same terms of authority. So, but with young boy situation, there is a the label paid for the courts to appoint the off-duty police officers that will patrol and stay at his house 24 hours a day. So he doesn't even have control over the guests that come to his house. He has to get approval through the security first. So you can't even determine, you can't sneak a link in. You know what I'm saying? In that situation, that's probably what they're gonna do with Ja. You ain't gonna you got to get your sneaky link cleared.
Yeah, no, but she cited NDAs in and out the door.
Oh yeah,
no more strip clubs. I will be surprised. I mean, your Uber Eats got to get cleared at the gate. Like, what's he eating?
Presidential level. He got executive level clearance.
Look, he can't even get hot wings because they might make him choke. The man is eating lemon pepper only. Like, I mean, they got him.
So limit on how many. No grease, they air fry.
Speaking on no Dixie Queen trips from him lately.
No.
So this brings us. Speaking of authority and executive level, Adam Silver spoke on, like, before he even got to speak on Victor Wembanyama. I said it right too. Before he even got to speak on that guy yesterday, he had to speak on Ja. That's the first thing Malika Andrews asked, and I'm not surprised she did. But with that said, what do you think? What tone did you get from that?
I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm glad. I'm gonna take this one first, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. It almost makes what JJ Redick said. Based on what I saw last night from Silver, I don't think what JJ Redick said gonna push him the line. Man, the man gonna baptize our boy, man. I'm just gonna keep it real. He gonna baptize him, man, because he gonna have to feel like he gotta flex. We gotta set the example, and he ain't had to baptize nobody yet.
Yeah,
and that's gonna become a problem. Like, bro, you ain't got nobody on your resume. You don't baptize nobody yet. You really, as the Houston, Texas owner said, they're gonna, the prisons run the asylum type of deal. Even though that's a very racial undertone to it. But I'm just saying that's how they look at it. That's how the ones who control Adam Silver, the owners, that's what they're gonna say behind closed doors, whether we like that or not. And that's gonna be the issue, man. They're gonna really look at him and say, look, bro, we need you to set the example for the rest of our guys on our roster. If they can't, we don't want them listening. We ain't want them listening to this shit anyway. So go on, baptize his ass for all of us.
But I even think like some of the Memphis owners are probably getting pushed back because Wexler is relatively young, right? Mm-hmm. And even though he's a white guy, I've met him a few times. I think he's more on the he's not as conservative as most of the owners, especially the older, and I hate calling them owners because my God,
they call them governors now in the NBA.
Okay, thank you.
They done backed off. It's back on. They were trying.
Whatever we gonna call them, owners drives me up a wall. But the guys who own the team, let's say, but Wexler is pretty cool, but even like some of the partial owners, like Brandon Arundel, young black dude, and so like I think that even they and Wexler, is he native Memphian or like lifelong? I think he's been here a long time. Brandon is native, and so these are people who understand the Memphis spirit and have probably even like been more lenient than Ja than an out of town owner would have been, or somebody who wasn't like as understand. So even like Whoop That Trick being our theme song, right? You gotta love Memphis. I mean, you're not going to see the Lakers and they playing, the latest greatest by like Eazy-E's nephew.
Right.
Right. They're not playing like they not playing throwback
Mac Dre.
NWA isn't playing at Staples. Like it's
what that was
Usher.
Usher, right? But with us, like we got Henry Turley, richest white man in Memphis, saying "Whoop That Trick."
Right.
And then that goes back to my point about what we've set up. You got rich white folks waving ground towels, yelling "Whoop That Trick." A song about what?
Right. Violence.
Pimping, violent pimping,
yes.
Beating hoes.
Right.
And then we're going to be like, oh my God, Ja Morant had a gun?
Right.
Y'all just waved the ground towel to Whoop That Trick for 365 days.
10 years?
We created this culture and now we're all like clutching our pearls and that's BS.
Facts.
I mean, I agree 100%. And that's also what has always happened in the world. Mm-hmm. Like people create the monsters. America itself creates its own enemies. Mm-hmm. Like, they put people in power, and then when the people don't do what they want them to do, they buck the system. You are a villain now. So that's just, this is how it works here. For me, I've taken that side that Adam Silver took the other day before he talked. Because he sighed for about 15 seconds before he was like,
Jay Prince side.
It was that I really don't want to do this. Right. Not only do I not want to talk about this, I don't even want to do what I'm gonna have to do to him because he's known as a player's own.
Right.
Like that's what he is. He's that guy he's that friendly guy. He's unlike David Stern, short guy in stature. Adam Silver do the handshake eye to eye with the prospects. Like he's that type of guy.
He dapping them and all.
And he had a different league face for most of his stewardship in LeBron than what Jordan was. Jordan was so much different than Bron and how they got down that he left the players' union. Mm-hmm. LeBron, some of his homeboys, Chris Paul was the president of the players' union.
And he's active
still to this day. So, Adam Silver has had a different type of environment around him this whole time. This is the first time a young guy came in that wasn't wrapped in a cocoon coming in.
Yeah.
Like most of these other guys, they had something coming in like that. Like Kevin Durant came from a big school. Wow. Derrick Rose came under Cal. Like these guys kind of knew stuff.
And you come from Murray State.
Yeah.
And not just
from Murray State.
But KD came from DMV. Derrick Rose came from Chicago.
And they went to Tech. Right.
These guys came from larger metropolitan areas. Like Ja's first of his kind. Like we haven't seen a guy from Dalzell, South Carolina. Like you ain't seen nobody come from a spot like that in a long time.
And a lot of people are saying he's playing hood, but like I got a good friend who's from Sumter, and he wrote on Facebook yesterday. Shout out to Andre. He said,
Sumter.
He said, but he said, it's funny to me how many of y'all talk about Sumter like it's the suburbs.
Right.
He's like,
I don't know.
You ain't, but like a lot of people, I mean, especially outside of Tennessee, right? If we drove to Covington, right? That's what you're thinking about. Like, go to not just the hood, but the rural hood, right? Like, talk about got it out the dirt. Like, I mean, we're talking like learn how to play on like not broke down gravel. They playing like I have, friends. My family's from Fayette County, so you learn how to play in the dirt. Like seriously, like
I know
dust bunny. Is when you bounce in your
it's dirty everywhere.
And so like. Knowing that his whole family came from that, and then like he came from that. Even when you throw a family in it, like you talked about Jaren's family, his mother has that business acumen. His family is like he's seen what it's like to treat this like a business, right? Mm-hmm. T is. I seen him walk in the weekend,
right? To this, one, shout out
like, and sit next at the table across or next to you and buy, bottles just like everyone else. I mean, Like, and he's sitting on the floor with the rappers.
Right.
And if we're a city that lets Moneybagg Yo play dice on the floor, again, all of these things we've allowed. And I get what you're saying. Like, when the monster gets too big, you want to, it's the Frankenstein story. Frankenstein was like, "This is my monster. I've created this monster," and then he went to kill the monster.
Right.
Yeah. And that's
and I'm one of the, and I'll say this again. I'm of the ilk that I'm with creating the monster. So it's innovative. It was possible. The issue is you didn't put the right manager of the monster, man. Like, where are the vets at, bro? Where are your PJ Tuckers? Where are your Tony Allens of that day, or Zach, whoever, or Sam Cassell's on the bench? Where are these guys, bro, that can, instead of, they can come to you and say, bro, get your shit. Screw with how they gonna come to you and tell you that about numbers and all that and money and endorsements. You might not care about that because you already rich forever. But screw all that, bro. Get your ish together, bro. You hurting everybody else. And they don't have anybody that can just come to him that he can actually accept that from. And I think that's why I was pushing for Derrick Rose over this all season, but it's another conversation.
But it's, to your point, like, I would love to see like what's more senior or like vet Black players outside of Memphis, like who's reaching out to Ja, who's been reaching out to Ja, because to your point, like a lot of like activists, are like would call this patriarchy. I had a Black dad in my life, so I believe in the power of having a father in your home. So like, hey,
some type of father figure
yes. In your home, in your life. I know the difference it makes, right? I came home and saw my dad every day. Right. And so
that's a different level, even from a father figure.
Right. Thanks. But also I know, and I had my mama too. But I also, like, I talk all the time about, like, the women in my life and how they helped me, grow. And, like, as I became more political, as I, got to be more well-known, the type of women who, like, wrapped around me on the local, I can name all kind of national names that even though I'm just a Memphis political player, we're like, I see something in this girl in Memphis and I have connections to. Wow. During, when I ran for mayor, Stacey Abrams left me a voicemail, in the middle of her own election, right? Because she was like, hey, here's you. Now, is she my best friend? No, but did she leave a message to encourage me and be like, stay the course and like, this is going to be hard and you probably won't win. But neither did I, you know what I mean? And so like, those are the types of, and so like I say that to say like with Ja, I know I've seen like on social media, like Black men being like, I would love a chance to talk to him, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes it has to be people in your field. It can be family, but like, imagine, like, I wish I could remember who just invited him to come spend the summer with him in Italy. Somebody's playing in Italy and was like, come play with me this summer.
They invited Ja?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Come to Italy, Ja.
See what's searching and get there.
Y'all probably tapping fast and out here.
And it wasn't, of course, everything is like Ja suspended.
Right. Oh my goodness.
It was something. It was somebody who's playing in the summer leagues, and they're not even like a bad player. They're still an active player, but they were like, come spend the summer with me.
Nah, he
was it not Italy? France?
Nah, I saw Dwight Howard invited him to Taiwan.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. Is that bad? Oh my bad. Never mind. Okay. See, like, all right, let me just be clear. I am a Memphis Grizzlies fan.
You wrong for that, Dwight.
Like, that's
you got folks confused, man. You got people thinking you out here rocking with us, man.
What did I miss? Now I look like a fool.
No, Dwight Howard went on the tirade. He went on a he basically just went on a tirade saying that everybody that played bad in the playoffs, you come to Taiwan with me because Taiwan is like.
Is that where he's playing for?
Yeah, right.
So Dwight Howard's not in the league anymore?
No, not this year. He's been in Taiwan. So people have been making fun of it.
Yeah. So anybody that crapped out.
So the troll is okay, y'all making fun of me. Come on over here. Doc Rivers, Ja.
Right. Like, I saw that invitation. I was like, yes, that's what we need. Somebody to spend the summer with him. Okay. I done made up a whole story.
It's all good. No, it's all good. Dwight.
I made up a whole story that this man was like, come spend the summer with me in Italy. We gonna play some basketball. We gonna get your life together.
Right. We gonna.
Yo, that's what clarity is for. That's what clarity is for. Right. It's like, you know, it's.
Is the show over?
Actually,
that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna let me in like that?
Yeah, that's the perfect way it is. That's the perfect way. That'll lead to a part 2. You got some redemption after that.
Yeah, the redemption arc is coming with Miss Sawyer. But right now,
watch some basketball.
I'm gonna read some Twitter. I'm gonna tag you in on that.
You know,
sorry.
This was our take. Our conversation on Ja. We wanted to get somebody that's been in the political space before and been a public figure. She came out. Miss Sawyer did a great job talking to this. Yeah, and she, like she said, she's in her truth era. And you know, it takes a lot of humility for somebody to have something wrong and be like, hey, I had it wrong, but I had the right intention, because she did. You know, she was feeding into the good part.
And then just the adjustment, you know, even not even the wrong to it, just the refinement of everything, the evolving of the evolution, I guess, of everything, you know. So yeah. Well, salute to you.
Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you for coming out. So this is A-Main, Say Main. This is Dez and Ed.
It's Ed and Dez, man.
Hey, and this is the podcast from around the way, man.
Don't play.
Damn day. Hit that like and hit that subscribe too. We ain't done that yet. I always thought that was corny when people said that before until we started this, and now I know the value of it.
And you can follow me at Tami Sawyer, Tami Sawyer.
There we have it, man. Y'all have a good